Henry, I'm excited to ask this question, even though I know there's probably some feelings around it. You recently rolled out a change to the app. And I think as a leader, whether it's a business leader, church leader, we've all tried something and then maybe gotten a different response than we hoped. And so this makes me so respect you big time that I can't even ask. If you just want to share, so you rolled it out, you had some pushback on it. Again, as every person who's ever tried anything has been in the same space, what did you learn from this process? And what is like, gosh, this is what I would have done differently? Any other takeaways? And again, thank you for letting me ask this question.
Not at all. This is so the change that we made was daily walk with God, which is a really cool bit of content. It takes you on a walk through a forest or through a nature scenery, but it's using the same technology that they make video games with. It's called an Unreal Engine, and that's the first time it's been deployed in this way. We were really excited about it. I think it's done beautifully, and it takes you on a meditative walk, incorporating scripture and meditation together. And luckily, we did it as a test. So everything that's new that we do is always a test. So it was for a subset of users, but it was for a large subset of users. And we wanted to see how it would resonate. And we removed the existing daily worship experience, and we put this in its place, along with a single Bible verse and a quote. And the feedback was substantial. People did not like the change. Which is actually
not shocking when it comes to the church in any way, shape, or form, by the way.
Yeah, you know, people don't like change in general when it comes to, I mean, we can all remember when Facebook changed their homepage a decade ago, and everyone has this huge outcry, and then a month later, everyone's forgotten there's ever been a change. So people don't like change. You're always going to, whenever you change something, you're always going to get a certain amount of backlash. The question is there a multitude of people who much prefer it over and above that? And so it was great learning, A, how passionate the community are, B, so we responded and said, sorry, we're reverting back to what it was. It was a test, and it's a test that we've got great learnings. And so we incorporated daily walk with God into the experience, but not as a replacement of the experience. So people didn't like things being taken away from them, and that was really precious. And so that was a huge learning. It was interesting how vehement people were in their response to it. But then people, when we said, okay, we're putting it back, we realized you didn't like daily walk with God, people were writing in, no, it wasn't that I didn't like daily walk with God. I actually thought it was really great. It's just I really liked the other bits. And as we looked at their initial feedback, we thought, well, it looks quite clear here that you didn't like it. So I think people reacted very strongly against, missing what is their routine, their way of connecting with God. And that's so sacred to so many people. And, but luckily it was a test. So it was just to a subset of users. And so, the learnings from it are always, you don't know, to test everything and be willing to roll back. But the response that we got from saying sorry and rolling it back was amazing. People were so encouraging and so positive because of that. And now we're, back to bigger than where we were before that, which is great. It was certainly an interesting time.
It's incredible. And I can remember that, again, the leadership wise, I was just watching it when you posted and made the changes back. It made me respect you, the app itself and yourself even more, of just like, gosh, you did hear our feelings and all that and of things. And I think that's a powerful thing. Anything that you wish you would have done differently? And again, I'm not even talking the specific example, but just things that you're like, I think I would have done this differently, or any other takeaways just for all of us as leaders who have tried that. I think even one of the takeaways, change is not an easy thing to do. And so I think like going into that, I think oftentimes as leaders, it's like, they are going to love this. Everybody's going to love this. But I think if you go in knowing, hey, change is hard. This isn't, not everybody's going to see it as a win. I think even that is a takeaway for me, just watching from afar. But anything else that you're like, I learned this, or I would have done this differently?
Well, I mean, there are loads in retrospect, loads of things that I would have always done differently. But I think change has got to come from two places. Either change is radical, but it is, you'll stand by it no matter what, because it is a fundamental pillar of your belief. So you're going to make a change to something, and no matter what, and even if there's 100% outcry against it, you're going to stand behind it. That's one kind of change, which is pretty drastic. I think the other type of change, which can be a bit more effective, is the more subtle changes and more gradual. And what we did there in that instance, in a test. So I don't mind in tests, we're always testing features and changes. This was quite a large change for the test, but it was quite drastic. We removed one thing and we replaced it with something else. And actually the much more subtle change of adding something in, gauging feedback around that. And I think that can come in all types of change that we look at. That subtle incremental addition and change over time to gentle improvements can lead to the same end point, might be over a period of time, but bringing people along the journey with you. So that's the approach that we normally take. Not this time.
And do you think in looking back, gosh, we did rush something, or no, I think we just underestimated the response from it?
We knew that there would be a response, but we didn't know to what degree. And in a way, we were trying to elicit a response, because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we were doing it again, would have done it in the more subtle manner of adding it in and not deleting anything else.
Yeah,
because then that would have been interesting.
Hey crew, it's Adam from The Conversation. I'm so glad that you've tuned in to this episode. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you go and click the subscribe button, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on Pando, so you don't miss a single episode of The Conversation. Also, I need to give a huge shout out to these partners. These partners help make this episode of The Conversation possible. They're organizations that I know and trust that I want you to know about as well. Have a great rest of your day.